Ready?
Ready.
All right, here we go. All right. Hello everybody, Brian Goulet here of gouletpens.com, and I have an amazing honor here to be sitting here with the CEO of LAMY in Germany, Mr. Bernhard Roesner. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me today. I know this is probably the busiest week that you have.
It is definitely. It is definitely.
But I'm very honored that you would allow me to come here, host me, allow me to tour your facility. It's been an absolute pleasure so far. I'm nearing the end of my trip as we're filming this video, but I'm very honored that you would take the time, so thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Yes. So for those who don't know who you are, which for most of my audience, that's probably everybody, they know your brand, LAMY, quite well. But you know, what is it that you do here, and how long have you been involved with LAMY?
Well, I joined LAMY about 12 years ago as a successor of Dr. Lamy, who is the son of the founder of LAMY GmbH here in Germany. And Dr. Lamy is running this family business, was running the family business for almost 40 years. And so it was a big step for him and
Yes.
a big step for me, because I was used to work with a lot of freedom, with a lot of trust, and coming into a family-owned business sometimes is not as easy. But working with Dr. Lamy proved to be very unique, because in all aspects he delivered he delivered everything he promised, meaning I'm able to run the factory, to run the brand in the way I think it's best for both. And he gives me all the freedom I need to develop the brand, especially the brand internationally. And that makes it very worthwhile 12 years being here.
Wow, 12 years.
Yes.
That's very impressive. And I know, I mean, I've been involved with LAMY as a retailer in the United States for going on 7 years now. And so all I know from LAMY has been kind of the recent boom years. I mean, your 12-year perspective now on LAMY, what's different about LAMY now than it was when you first joined on?
Well, the big difference probably is that we kept everything which is our product, which is a product DNA and so on, but the way we are approaching markets has been changed considerably. LAMY today is much more than what we call just a pen. It's about the lifestyle of writing, the joy of writing. It's not about if my cartridge writes 300 meters more or less. It's not like, you know, competing with horsepowers when you look at cars. Not at all. It's about the joy you feel, the joy of writing, the joy of looking at your handwriting and being able to express yourself apart from the digital way. So we have these two aspects. We are living in a digital environment, at the same time we are very analog, and we realize, especially younger people, they love this contrast, being digital on the one hand and at the same time to be very analog, because they want to look at something they have created themselves.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that, being a somewhat younger person myself.
Yes, definitely.
I was younger when I started all this, but that's definitely the case. And it's been interesting talking to people here in Germany about what it's like as a younger person, because here they're still using fountain pens in schools.
Yes.
All the school children are using them, and from what I understand, the LAMY ABC is the pretty standard school pen that many German children are familiar with. In the United States, it is not that way at all.
Well, that's probably one major difference. We start with writing with a pen at school, but at the same time, children, when they turn into young adults, they are probably fed up with writing, with handwriting, so they want to change. So this is an advantage, but at the same time, it can be a disadvantage as a brand, because you're probably too much into a certain box where you can't get out. And so we had to overcome this and also open up the mind of our young audience here in Germany or in the German-speaking countries, so that the young professionals realized handwriting has nothing to do with school. It's one way of expressing yourself, and the better the tool you're using, the better your results, meaning the better your handwriting.
Yeah, I've definitely found, you mentioned something that kind of is what I've seen as well is people who write when they're younger, they kind of fall away from it for 15, maybe even 20 years, maybe more, and then they find it again, and then it's a choice. It's not something that they're forced to do. And it's pretty undeniable that Llama is one of those brands that is one of the most passionate followings, especially among people that are either newly discovering fountain pens or recently rediscovering it, I should say. And so I'm curious to know, has that been something intentional from LAMY, or has that just kind of happened?
Well, in a way, it's the result of good work, because looking at our products, you realize their design is so different to what you usually see in the markets, and that means you either love it or you don't love it. It's very focused, and people have to come up with an opinion, and so you either like it, and mostly when you like it, you love it, and you become passionate, because you are into telling people, that's what I stand for, and that's my brand.
Yes.
Whereas very often people using pens or pencils and so on, they just talk about a generic product. Our customers, our end consumers, they really open up, and they tell you, that's my LAMY.
Yeah. And I'm always curious because I'm very active on social media, and I'm a retailer, so I speak directly with customers all the time. But you have distribution all over the world, you have retailers all over the world. How do you, specifically, and the rest of you here at LAMY in Germany, how do you keep in touch with all the different markets and all the different customers around the world?
Well, that means a lot of traveling. I mean,
you
put mileage not on your car, but on your
frequent flyer miles,
frequent flyers and mileage account. So you have to be traveling quite a lot. And I myself, I'm not in sales. I'm running the company as CEO, but nevertheless, I'm 100 days roughly per year outside of Germany, seeing customers, talking to people like you, talking to our distributors, but also talking to end consumers to understand where do they stand, what do they expect from us, and are we able to deliver. So that's mainly what I'm listening to, and when I come back, I get debriefed in a very small team with Marco and Beate, and that's how we sit down and think about what needs to be done in the field of marketing, but also product management.
Wow, and you can tell too, because I don't sell just LAMY. I sell a lot of brands, and I try to be very in touch with the whole fountain pen market specifically. I know you make more than just fountain pens, but me specifically, my focus is fountain pens, and I try to engage very actively with that passionate community. And so for me, it's always interesting to see which manufacturers really kind of get it, and really you can tell who has passion for what they're doing and who's really listening and trying to innovate and who isn't. And even if you're new to the hobby, maybe 6 months or a year, and you don't know that much about how things work behind the scenes, you can still just kind of tell who really cares and who doesn't. And just to give you and your whole team some credit here, how much you've let us in and showed us and allowed us to shoot video, I think is just only a small glimpse of how passionate you really are. And everyone I've interacted with since I've been here, it's very obvious you take so much pride in what you do.
We are very passionate. We are proud of what we are doing, very proud, and we also go the extra mile. I mean, if you want to be successful, you have to do more than your normal competitor, because it's a very competitive environment, not just in the pen industry. You get opposition from the digital world, people writing on their smartphones, writing on their computers, and so on. So handwriting is a very unique way of expressing yourself, and it means you have to tell people your story. They have to understand it, otherwise they don't get passionate. So you have to be passionate yourself very, very much.
Yes, and I think it's been interesting to see, ever since I first discovered fountain pens, the Llama Safari was one of the pens that was quickly recommended as one of the best pens to kind of be introduced And that has become a staple of the brand. And Safari is now 26 years old, I think. I think it just celebrated its 25th anniversary. So I'm curious to know, LAMY right now, I think most of the people who are into fountain pens and know of LAMY, they don't get a sense for the scale that LAMY is doing. So I'm going to ask you some questions with maybe some numbers, and hopefully you can help me out a little bit.
Okay.
Just
let's see how
you hold up here. Yeah. I get the same thing when people ask me questions about my company. It's like, okay, let's see how current my information is.
Yes.
So how many people are working here at LAMY in Germany?
We are only producing here in LAMY. We have all our workforce here in Heidelberg. Mm-hmm. That's a total of 400 people.
400 people.
Yes.
Wow. So that's not a small number of people.
Not a big one. We are still family-owned business. So,
sure. Yeah. But that's impressive, though. That's a good size. Is it one of the bigger companies in Heidelberg here?
It's one of the bigger companies in Heidelberg, because Heidelberg, being the oldest university in Germany, means the city is more or less university run. We have almost 40,000 students here in Heidelberg.
That's a good number.
That's a good number out of 140,000 inhabitants. So more than 1/3 is in colleges and at the university.
Wow. And I could tell too, because as I've been visiting in December here, there's a lot of Christmas markets that are going
definitely, yes.
I was amazed. I went out on Monday night, and just amazed at the number of people that are out and about on a Monday night going to the Christmas market, and so many young people in the area.
People love it, being outside,
Yeah, and that has to help, I think, in a way, for you to stay in touch too.
Oh yes, we are communicating constantly with our audience, constantly via the social media, but also face to face. So it's a mix of both, and we get very valuable information and insights.
Sure. And one of the places I got to visit was the LAMY store in Heidelberg, and I know that really that's not a store to make money per se. It's a store for you to get feedback directly from customers. Am I correct?
It's our showroom, or I call it our laboratory, because there we just try a lot of things we want to establish worldwide. And before I recommend something to one of my partners, I want to make sure, yes, it works. So we are constantly changing the furniture, the way it is arranged, and so on. And from there, that's why I call it laboratory. We get a feeling what it needs to be successful in retail, because our partners are retailers.
Yes, that makes sense. How many retailers are there globally, would you guess?
Globally, I would say, calling them doors, we have probably 10,000 doors worldwide.
10,000. So 10,000 people like me that carry LAMY as a brand.
10,000 doors. That might include some chains, which is just
multiple stores.
Multiple stores. So that's why I talk about doors.
Okay, that makes sense. So they might have different locations.
Yes, like the department stores.
Okay.
It's one entity, but maybe 100 doors.
10,000 different places where you could go and buy.
Yes.
Wow, that's a lot.
Well, it's a lot. At the same time, it's also necessary. When you are in the school business, like in Germany, you have to reach your school children, and they have to get your products, especially cartridges, right around the corner of their school. So you have a lot of small mom-and-pop shop in the countryside where you can get LAMY, but only a very limited assortment, and it's mainly for cartridges and so on.
Okay, yeah, I went to a department store last night here in Heidelberg to get a gift for my kids on the trip here, and I saw there was a LAMY display, in the department store. Well, it wasn't huge, but it was,
yes.
there, and so that might be one of those locations.
It is, definitely.
Wow, okay. Where would you say is probably the biggest markets for LAMY? Obviously in Germany and any German-speaking, you have schools and all those, but where else in the world is most LAMY products going to?
Well, there are different ways of looking at it. You have markets which are already mature, and then you have young markets. Germany is a mature market, or Europe is a mature market, then you still have young markets abroad. Worldwide, LAMY has maybe started to go international 10, 12 years ago. So when I came We didn't do much export at that time. Today, we do roughly 40% exports, and so there are a lot of young markets, and even your country is a young market for us.
It's true.
So far,
I didn't realize it was that young, honestly.
well, we have been for quite some time in the States, but I think so far we have lacked the approach which is necessary to really find the enthusiasts and the people you need to become a brand in the States. So the United States is a huge country. I know it quite well. So it's huge. It's expensive for distributors. So you really need to find someone who is also passionate about you and understands that your product is more than just to ride. It's conveying feelings, emotions, and so it's not just about moving a product from A to B.
Yes. And I think that's one of the most exciting things for me to hear, because all I've known has been the last 7 years or so.
Yes.
And we've had some challenges with distribution, and even still, there's such an excitement and enthusiasm for the LAMY brand. And so to hear that that is going to be something that you're going to focus on and look to even cultivate more in the future, I think is really exciting.
Oh, we want to cultivate that more. We have realized, like in Asia, countries we haven't been, we are brand new today. We are market leader in big countries. Even in China, we are market leader. We are operating there more than 120 stores. And for the States, we just opened in San Francisco our first store in the States. We are currently discussing with architects and interior designers how to do our store on the East Coast in New York at Soho, which is opening in the first quarter of next year. So this will, I think, make a major impact also on your country and on your continent, because people for the first time are able to realize what's the DNA of the brand, and I think it will, at least we hope, it will open up the United States also for LAMY.
Yeah, and these stores will be, you're like laboratories, right? Just like you have in Heidelberg here.
Yes.
Yeah, so test stores to really be able to get to interact directly with customers, and that's something that hasn't been done in the United States before.
Not at all.
So that's very interesting to see. Yeah, I'm eager to see how that pans out.
Do you know what the biggest difference is in the last 10 years? When I came to LAMY was a ballpoint company. You wouldn't believe that today. We were known for ballpoints.
I guess I could believe it, with the age of the company, because you started in 1966, right?
Well, we started in 1930.
Oh, that's true. That's
when the company was formed.
Oh, I'm thinking about the LAMY 2000. That's what
but we reinvented. Are we on?
We're recording now, yeah.
Okay.
So we can just keep rolling.
But we reinvented the company and the brand in 1966.
Yeah.
With the introduction of the LAMY 2000, and not only the name was so exceptional, LAMY 2000, because we were more than 30 years away from the year 2000, it looked so exceptional, and this was the milestone for the rebirth of this company. Before, our pants looked the same as everybody else. We were black. We looked like a cigar. We had a very nice nips, but not modern. We had a gold clip. So very, very much like everything else.
Yeah.
And Heidelberg was known to be the center of the German pen industry. So we had 35 companies working in Heidelberg producing pens. Today, there's only one left.
Wow. 35 companies in Heidelberg.
In Heidelberg. So this was the center for penmanship.
Wow. Interesting. Because I think I know a little more about U.S. history, and you have brands like Parker and Waterman and Schaefer and things like that are now no longer even in the U.S. anymore manufactured. That's interesting to hear that that's happened globally. Really.
But your brands are still there. Here in Heidelberg, 35 brands and production sites and different owners. Today is only one brand and one production site left.
Wow. So the rest of them are just gone completely?
Just gone.
Wow.
Which is, I mean, producing, as you know, in Germany is not easy. It's like also in the States, so you have to be good, and we made it clear some time ago, we want to stay in Germany. We don't want to go abroad, because our quality promise, I think it's so ranging above everything else. If your quality is not right, you're losing in the market. So we want to make sure whatever bears the name of LAMY is produced here in Heidelberg. That's what we are working for.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because I've spent the last couple of days touring the facility.
Yeah.
I'm spending all day today shooting videos and getting to see all the incredibly impressive machinery and the productions and the great people you have here. How large is this whole factory?
Good question. Good question. I have it somewhere.
We can put that back together.
I hope I have it somewhere. No, I don't. It's on my desk. I think it's 150 square meter, 50,000 square meters altogether.
Okay.
So because we are on different floors,
Right. Okay.
altogether, I think it's 150,000. So when you turn around 180 degrees,
Yes.
you can see everything from here. You just turn around. It's starting with the tool making on this side.
Insert footage right here.
Yes.
I'm going to go around and take all this
You just go around, and then you end in my office.
Yes. And you can see the whole camp. I mean, it's an impressive facility, but it's not that large.
No,
like
it is.
You use the space incredibly efficiently. I was amazed.
Well, it's space in Germany is very expensive.
Sure.
So the ground is expensive. We are having scarce resources. Don't have too many free fields for your buildings. So you have to use it very wisely, and I think we're doing a good job in doing so.
I would agree with that, yes, very much so. So let's talk some numbers about how many pens come out of LAMY, because I think, especially in the United States, we don't really have a clue how big you are. And,
we do more than 10 million pens a year.
10 million.
10 million pens.
This is all pens across all models, colors. Everything.
Worldwide, since we are growing quite considerably each year. It's double digits for the last 7 years. That means this number is increasing, and we are today mainly a fountain pen company. So this is a very challenging operation.
Well, I think even that's unique. I mean, I don't know exact numbers on how large all companies are, but from the other manufacturers I've talked to, if they have fountain pens, it's usually a smaller portion, and rollerballs and ballpoints and pencils and things like that are much larger of their focus. From what I understand, you may know better than I do, but from what I understand, LAMY is unique in that they're primarily fountain pens.
Well, there's probably one other company similar to us in a different field, that's Montblanc, also known very much for their fountain pens, especially the Meisterstück. And LAMY is very similar. It's the fountain pen, which is our passion.
Yes, it's very evident. So how, what's the breakdown, I guess, in terms of fountain pens, pencils, rollerballs, ballpoints, just an approximate guess?
Approximately, we do 75% pens and probably 11-12% each for rollerballs and ball pens, and the rest is mechanical pencils.
Okay.
Very small.
So 75% is fountain pens?
Yes.
Wow, that's significant. That's really impressive. And you've obviously invested in that quite a bit. There's a lot of machinery over there.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely.
You have to, because it also means more than 7 million nibs, which you have seen how much we do even manually.
I 35,000 nibs every day.
That's it.
Every single day. And I was amazed. Yes, as Kai, one of your wonderful gentlemen who works here, gave me a tour yesterday and said 35,000 nibs a day. And seeing the machine, you're not just making your own nibs here. Literally, you start with the raw steel stock. You're cutting the nibs, shaping them, tuning them. You have a computerized machine that inspects every single nib, the alignments,
Yes.
the amount of debris that's in between the slits, and I mean literally everything. And much of it, at least with the steel nibs, is automated because I mean 35,000 nibs a day that's a lot of nibs.
It's a lot of nibs. For the gold nibs, there's a
nibs.
lot of manual labor.
Yes.
There are a lot of nibmeisters.
Yes.
We have in our company who know exactly how to do it, and they just go around and do a little bit here, do a little bit there, then they take the magnifying glass again, look at it, and it takes quite some time till they approve.
A little more handwork on the gold nib.
Oh yes,
gold is softer, and
yes,
you can't automate it quite as much.
Yeah.
But do you know what the breakdown of steel nibs versus gold nibs?
Well, it's steel nib, and I'm talking more 35,000 steel nibs. You probably have,
I think
3%.
Okay. I think I remember talking to another gentleman down there who said it was about 1,300 gold nibs per week, if my numbers are correct there. I'm going to try to verify all this before we publish in the video.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right?
No, not enough.
Not enough. Okay.
Not enough. It's
okay.
more.
I may have just heard it.
It's more. I would say it's 3 to 4%.
Okay.
The gold area.
Okay. Wow. Still, that's a lot of gold nibs. That's a lot of handwork.
Oh yes.
I mean, that's impressive. And one of the things that I love the most about LAMY is not only is your quality impeccable, and I think hearing these kinds of numbers, it's going to give such perspective to everyone in the pen community, because the scale, I mean, it's truly impressive. But then just understanding the quality checks that are involved at that volume, and keeping the prices as reasonable as they are. I would say they're very good value pens. Not cheap, but
no, it's a lot of value for money what you get.
For sure.
It's a lot of value for money what you get. And yes, when you're talking about made in Germany, you have to make sure that everything you expect from made in Germany, which is, first of all, it's quality, but it's also engineering, it's timely shipments, all this. You have to fulfill it. To reach that, yes, you have to do a lot of inspections to make sure that your product is exactly the way you expect it to reach the markets.
Yeah. So it's very interesting to me too, not just on the manufacturing side of things, but on the design side. So you have obviously a very talented team here of engineers and designers. And before I move on to design, though, there's something else I have to talk about, which is not only are you manufacturing the pens and like literally the nibs, every clip, every part, but you're also manufacturing the tools to manufacture the pens. So, I mean, you're engineering to a degree that I think most people don't even realize and can hardly even understand. I mean, literally, you have a whole wing of the facility here where engineers are developing the molds and the tools to be able to throw the machines. And these are all custom designed machines that have been engineered over years and years. It's like nothing I've ever seen, especially in the pen industry.
So all of our machines you won't be able to buy. So it's engineered by our people. Then we look for someone who has some knowledge in other areas. We bring it together, and then you have a completely new machinery, and that helps us also to do things which some people don't know yet how to do it mechanically. They do it still by hand. We find a way to do it in a machine, and that enhances our quality. We just make sure that the product LAMY, in the end, it's first rate, and therefore we work here.
Sure. Well, I can't do the math that quickly, but if you think about how many pens are coming through here and how many people are here, just how many pens per person is coming out of this facility.
I never looked at it from that side.
It's clear that automation has to be a very important part, and if everything was handmade, it would cost 3 or 4 times as much easily. Yeah. So I think that's very impressive. And has it always been that way for LAMY from the beginning, or is that the automation?
No, I think it has always been for the last couple of decades like that.
Okay.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be in Germany. If you, with the price points we cover, without being very efficient and highly productive. Without that, you couldn't work here in Germany. No way.
Yeah, and you can tell it's woven into the culture. Even just walking around the town, you can tell it's being an American, and this is the first time that I've literally traveled outside of the United States, let alone traveled right to Germany. You have all these perceptions and things you see in the movies and about what Germans are like, and you watch James Bond movies and the villains are always German and Russian, all these things. So you have this idea of what Germans are like, and I think some of that holds a little bit true. It's clear that there's a passion towards engineering and a passion towards quality and consistency. But you're also surprisingly flexible and surprisingly personable too. Like the people you have here, and I know how difficult it is to run a business with very happy people who are passionate and enthusiastic for what they do. It's very evident to me from walking around and interacting with everyone here, just how much they love being here and how much they love the brand and how much pride they take. I think you should be incredibly proud of that.
We are very proud of that. Yes.
Absolutely, and I'm proud to be
The interesting part is we have more like 40 nationalities in our company.
Wow.
So it's not all Germans. We have a mix of so many people.
That's wonderful.
Here, from Japanese to Europeans to Asians, everything.
Wow, that's great.
40 nationalities, yeah.
That's really
good mix.
Yeah, that is. Does that present any challenges in terms of culture and management and communication?
No.
Everybody
all of them speak German, all of them can write, so they have more than a basic education. It looks like that they have a good education and and they are tolerant enough to work besides each other. So if there are issues, they are not within our company, it's outside.
So is LAMY one of these brands, that Germans look up to as like, oh, I really would love to, because if everybody especially knows the brand from school and running with them, is it?
Well, people would love to work here. Yes, we don't have problems finding people, and the people coming to us normally stay for a long period.
Yeah,
so we are able to keep them, and they like to stay.
One of the gentlemen, I don't recall his name, but was helping me shoot some footage of the nibs, has been here for 25 years, and he retires in 3 weeks. Yes. So, but he was still helping, showing me everything and working the machines and everything. So
2 years ago, I honored a gentleman who was 50 years with LAMY. So he came with aged 15, and he retired 65.
Wow. That's something. I aspire to run a company that reaches those kinds of milestones one day. That's very impressive. So let's talk about design a little bit, because I think there's the whole manufacturing side of the business and the production and the output and the quality on those kinds of things. But I think LAMY is done just as well, if not even more so, for the very specific kind of Bauhaus design and the innovation in the design. You win all kinds of design awards. Tell me a little bit about the design process. If you feel inspired to come up with a new pen, is it just you make a couple of tweaks and you have a new pen in 6 weeks? I know it's not like that.
No way. It's a long process. Sure. And normally it starts with, we realize that either one of our products is getting weaker and not being as successful as we expected it, or we realize that there's missing something. So we come up, that's Marco Achenbach and Beate Oblau. Beate running the Department of Product Management and Marketing, and me. The three of us, we sit together and think about, is something missing? What is missing? What would be the solution to what is missing? And then we write a very briefing, very brief, but don't expect it to be done within a couple of weeks. It's an endless story of discussions, and we really dive into it, and we look at the market. Is there something what we think we might need already in the market? Then we come up with a very brief briefing, and then we start looking for designers. So LAMY is using external design we don't have designers here. We have people who understand design, yes, but we don't do our own designs. We look into the markets and we look for the best designers worldwide and internationally. We don't use too often German or German-speaking designers. We just introduced a new product. I am coming from Jasper Morrison, who is British, but do you have it with you?
I do,
yes.
yeah.
Excellent. We just introduced
First shipment overseas. I got it in
wonderful product.
A couple of days before I left to come here. I got it in, and I got one of each color for myself for my personal collection. I have this whole collection
very
over here.
nice.
I thought I would,
Beautiful.
I hauled them all the way here from the U.S., so I figured I would show them. So
Beautiful.
I'm an avid collector myself. I try to get all the different colors.
So when we started with Jasper, we flew to London.
Okay.
Met him in his atelier and talked to him, and explained a little bit what we have in mind. And there was still no scribble, nothing. It was just ideas we exchanged. And what we try to do is to bring the designer in a mood where he is almost outside of this world. So he starts to float and envisions what can be done. So most of the designers are coming from architecture or from furniture. So they are used to do bigger products. So you have to explain to them what it means to work on 13, 14 centimeters. Which is not much.
Yes.
And the 13, 14 centimeters needs to have technology in it. It should be
details. Every detail matters. Yes.
Every detail matters. So when it's not perfect, you see it.
Yes.
You can't hide it. You see it.
Or touch it. You feel it too.
Yes.
It's tactile. Yes.
So this is where we normally start. Then we have very often 2-3 design offices working on the same project, and then over time it narrows down, and then you decide, yes, you go ahead with one designer to the end, and even then it might mean after 3 years you say, sorry, we don't introduce it to the market.
Wow.
Because it has to be perfect. So in the end, you were talking about the Safari being quite some time in the market. So what we tried to achieve for the LAMY 2000, which celebrated its 50th birthday last year, what we tried to achieve is a modern classic.
Yes.
Meaning the product is so good that it is even young and new after decades. So it has to be a product which is part of the time you are living in, and that's why it is so important to work very diligently with your design partner on the project, because you don't want to do a product just for 2-3 years. We want to have a product which has the genes for a modern classic. That's how we approach it.
Wow, that's a lot to think through. I see why it takes
Look at it. It's
I'm a huge fan of the LAMY 2000.
Still a very, very exceptional.
It looks like
design.
it could have just come out this year.
That's what it is.
It looks like any year over the last 50 years, this pen could have been released and been a futuristic looking pen.
Yeah.
That one is it stands out above the rest in my opinion.
So when you talk about not only design but also quality, when you touch it here, you have the difference where you open it up. Normally you should feel something.
Yes.
You can't.
Yeah. If you didn't know.
You can't see it.
Unscrewed on the back.
You can't see it. You can't feel it. That's part of our mystery.
Yes, and it's difficult to achieve, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and I got to see some of the final steps in the LAMY 2000, which is impressive.
Impressive, isn't it?
For sure,
yes.
Absolutely, and just the intentionality that goes in every single step of manufacturing every kind of LAMY is very impressive. I've been like a kid in a candy store here for the last couple of days. I have more footage here than I know what to do with. It's fantastic. Do you have a personal favorite pen out of all the Lamy pens? The 2000?
That's my favorite, yes.
I think I'm with you on that one.
It's my favorite.
Yeah. Do you have a nib size preference for yourself?
I use M, but I also use B and extra B.
Okay.
Because I like, the feeling when it really flows.
Yes.
And good paper. The better the paper, the better the ink flow, and the better the ink on the paper, not inside of the paper.
Yes, I'm with you on that one for sure. So let's talk a little bit about ink too, because you also have Lamy ink.
Yes.
Cartridges, bottles as well. We've talked already a little bit, but in the United States, ink bottles I think are primarily more popular than cartridges. But I think it's the other way around in Germany, right? Like cartridges
it's cartridges in Germany. It's a matter of convenience, coming from the school days, because you just exchange it. When you are in a test and somebody is dictating, you don't have time to do the twisting and so on and use the converter, so you just exchange your cartridge, and that's done in and out.
For children, it's a lot cleaner too.
Yes.
And then they don't try to squirt each other with it,
Which you don't have to do with Lamy. You don't have to push in. You just screw your pen, and it's done automatically.
Yes.
But there are differences between the countries. So America is more piston and using converters.
Yes.
Asia very similar. It's also, we talked about that last night, about colors. Yes, what are the colors? Yes, you are more in the black area. We are here more in the blue area. Asia is also black. So there are some differences, and we are working on that. And I may say we are going to introduce a lot of new colors, a complete assortment of new colors next year.
And that's exciting because
a
lot of the newer colors that have come out, petrol, dark lilac, copper orange, that have been coming out with special editions. The ink, at least for us at Goulet Pens, the ink just flies away immediately, and then it's gone. And so I understand there's production, capacity issues and things like that.
Since we do our ink also ourselves, there are always issues. First, you have to develop it, and then you have to do a lot of testing. It has to write in 45 degrees in Utah or Nevada.
Right.
Also, it has to write 30 degrees minus.
Right.
So there are so many things you have to do till you decide, okay, that's the color, it's physically correct, and then you are able to introduce it.
Yes. How long is the development process on the ink side of things? Is it as long as the pens? Or
yes. It's, we're coming probably with 10 new inks altogether. It's about 2-3 years development.
Wow. 10 new inks.
Yes.
Okay. Is that going to be over what time frame? Is this something that's still in development, or is it going to come?
Well, that's in the final stages. So I think we will introduce it in 2018.
Oh, that's really exciting. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
I started out in ink, as
that's
you
what
know.
I know,
so
yes.
the more ink, the better. Keep it flowing. Keep it flowing. That's great to hear. Let's see here. So we talked a little bit about the U.S. market. Obviously I'm here. I'm traveling with the new U.S. distributor for Lamy, and we're having a lot of great conversations about the U.S. market and trying to develop that a little more intentionally. You have the store. What is your kind of hope for the U.S. market? Obviously, you wouldn't be going through all this trouble if it wasn't important. So, what would success look like for you in the U.S. over the next 5 years or 10 years of Lamy?
Well, I'm not looking at it from the point of success. Yes, you have to be successful when you run a business. But that would mean you would do all the planning and so on, which we don't. We know we have an excellent product. We know we have an excellent distributor now, and we know that the American market might be ready for Lamy, meaning that there are people who are passionate about handwriting, and they don't want to do it just, let's say, every other day, but they want to do it on a daily basis. And if we can help to develop this market, especially with the younger people, because that's our main focus, consumers below 40 years. So if we are able to achieve something in this field, I think success will come by itself. We don't plan it that way, definitely not. I never did it, and my team doesn't work like that. We do planning, but it's not something which we we try to finalize on paper, and then we are just following the numbers. Not at all. We are following the markets, and since we know that handwriting is not everywhere very common, we are also patient. I mean, it's nothing which has to be done tomorrow. We are patient.
Clearly, I mean, you're developing pens for years,
yes,
and you make sure that it's perfect before you release it.
It's like our Dialogue 3.
Exactly.
8 years. So
8 years.
you have to be patient, and we are also patient with our markets. They will develop, and if you're patient enough, the chance to make mistakes is getting less and less.
Yeah.
I see you even have some colors from the first introductions of Safari.
Well, I kind of they were a gift.
Yes.
I think like most LAMY fans, I kind of accidentally became a collector. So as soon as I became a retailer, I saw the special colors, and every new color that would come out, oh, I like this one, oh, I like this one, and I started to collect them. I was like, well, I already have a bunch of colors. What are the ones that I don't have? And it got to the point where I had more than I didn't have. You know, I had more of the collection than I didn't.
Yeah.
So now I'm in the process of trying to go and find
the older ones.
The older ones are very difficult to find.
Yeah, I know.
Very difficult to find. Now I'm a fountain pen guy, but you know, even if I can find the rollerball, you know, whatever.
I think it's very scarce. Very scarce, yes.
Yes, exactly. So I'm a huge fan of the LAMY 2000 as well. I like the Ion a lot. I think you've done a great job with that, and I'm very eager to see it.
It's a wonderful product, yes.
Yeah, I think the price is great. I think the pen itself, I love the way that it writes without the cap, even just the length of the pen. I have larger hands. It's got some good weight to it. So I don't want to gush too much, but I really think you did a great job with that one specifically. What do you think is different about LAMY now than it was when you first started? You mentioned how it was kind of primarily a ballpoint company at the time.
Yes, today we are a fountain pen company.
Yeah.
We are truly international. We are an international company. We are on all continents and successful on all continents, and which we haven't been 12 years ago. That's the main point of difference, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Has that been something that you set out to do when you came on board, or was that just something that happened as you...
No, I'm an avid believer in strategy, so when I came to this company, I set a goal, a vision, which said we wanted to be the most successful, meaning the biggest producer of premium pens worldwide. So at that time, we were far away from the middle field, and we knew that we had superb products that we knew from our domestic markets, and we just reached out, and then we are talking strategy, reached out to the international markets, and we changed direction, we emotionalized our communication, so we were not just talking about the product and the advantages of our product. I think that the biggest advantage of our product is that it becomes a companion to its owner, not just a tool, a companion. And when you become a companion to someone, the person becomes a fan of you and of your brand. So this is an interaction. I think we succeeded quite well, not produce products, but companions. And, so when people don't have their LAMY, they ask, where's my LAMY?
Yeah.
Where's my LAMY? It's much more than something to write. It's where's my LAMY? And yes, so we were talking strategy, and internationalization was a strategic move, as well as working here in Heidelberg on how to keep the company in the production side here in Heidelberg. So there we spent also long discussions, had long sessions, what is necessary, and in the end I think we are on a good way to keep both. Become an international player and at the same time doing everything here very locally, and you have seen that Heidelberg is a very local city.
It really is. It really is. There's not a lot of chain stores, you know, it's a lot of what they call mom and pops
Mom
in
and
the
pop
United
stores,
States.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a very unique feel to it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
For me as a tourist,
Yes.
it's been an incredible experience.
Ah, that's great.
And I want to thank you and everyone here at LAMY for being willing to host me here and for allowing me into your facility. I have a lot of work to do when I get back.
You're
to cut all
welcome.
the footage together.
We are honored to have you here and
you.
to know that you're touring Heidelberg, not just to be a tourist, but to be a pen tourist.
Absolutely.
So this honors us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Right. Thank
You
you.
should be very proud, and I know your team is very proud of what you've done here. And thank you, and now you'll get to be an internet celebrity.
Okay.
I don't know about that, but I really appreciate you being willing to do the video here.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you to all of you who've enjoyed this video. Obviously, you can enjoy lots of different pens from LAMY. You can check them out on gouletpens.com, as well as 999,000 other places to get it across the world. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, our account, as well as LAMY Official Germany as well. So thank you so much for watching, and right on.
Bye-bye. Thank you.